I think the biggest frustration we have now is that young people who want to get IDs cannot get IDs because several stations where they're supposed to, they're being told the forms are not there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Of course, we're always excited to have Fanya Mambo himself.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here.
It must be nice that we have a name that sells your name also for our show.
The heavens have conspired to just make me a great Kenyan, and I'm happy.
That's nice. How has your week been?
It was a good week. It was January. We are still on the 77th day of January 2025. But we are happy and grateful to be alive. It's a very difficult time to be a Kenyan. Economically, I can tell you everywhere we go. But we are here and we are grateful.
And of course, this week has had a lot of interesting things here in Kenya. And of course, around the globe now that Trump was sworn in this week also.
My president was sworn in. I think many highlights of the day. Obama walking in alone. And for the first time, he was booed. For the first time in his life. I never expected that. People need to watch that clip. People were jeering at him.
Is it because they're saying the rumor?
Well, lisemwalo lipo na kama halipo laja.
Because that was a very high likelihood.
Yeah, there's the second event he came without Michelle Obama. Although, I mean, it's fine. African presidents are always going without their wives everywhere anyway. So I think that was a highlight. That was a highlight. Plus also Trump, I think, had just too many things to sign. He had not used his signature in a while, so he was waiting. He signed quite a bit. He signed quite a lot. And I like what he did about those people who use almost all the letters of the alphabet to do their thing. Yeah. And I like his declaration on that issue because we as Africans really have a strong, strong belief in what he said, and we are happy.
But you know, one thing, I mean, I like that we really big on following the international space and how America is coming along. But for me, the highlight is that now as Africa, we probably have someone who won't care what is going on, or even in Kenya for that matter. I mean, do you think he's going to be involved in our politics? We had, the previous government has been a bit of, from the ambassador
I'm happy.
That was.
In fact, even his withdrawal from what WHO was very significant for Africa because WHO was working on getting us a lot of drugs, including the HIV, ARVs and all. Is unfortunate because those who are already affected and infected with HIV AIDS would probably face a period when it would be hard to get ARVs. But it's a blessing in disguise because then Africans need to start asking themselves, when shall we invest in serious campaigns on reducing the rate of infection? Because HIV/AIDS is not about having ARVs. It's not about management. If you can reduce your rate of infection significantly, you are winning the war. You're winning the war. Just reduce the rate of infection. Make sure per day the number of people who are contracting the AIDS virus is reducing every day. If you can do that, then you are winning the war. As opposed to saying that you are winning the war because you are able to get ARVs and you're able to manage the condition within the country. I think let us now focus more on reduction of infections.
Okay, we'll come into more of the conversations around the things that Trump signed, the executive orders. But before that, this week has been really heavy. Basically not as much, but heavy because the whole government has been in Western Kenya. And a lot has happened. One of the key issues is Ken farmers were allegedly offered, bonus.
Yes.
And this bonus story has brought now a lot of politics with people saying some should receive, some should not. What exactly is going on? And when you go online, I'm seeing people again now saying their parents have not received the bonus. So I don't know what's going on.
Mahatma Gandhi said that there are two categories of human beings in this life. There are those who do the work and there are those who take the credit. The Kenya Kwanza administration wants to take the credit for the work that the farmers have done. And they are going there and they want to, by the way, we are launching bonus. Our grandmothers have received bonus, our mothers have received bonus. We have never had, this is the first time since the creation of Kenya, we are hearing a head of state going to launch bonus. Bonuses were used to be paid every end of the year. And why are those bonuses being launched in Western Province? Why are they not being launched in Mount Kenya? Why are they not being launched at Mombasa? If there's anything they sell there. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Bonuses have been there throughout, for coffee, for tea, for many cash crops. Why are we launching bonuses? And I'm hearing people from Western saying, I am yet to see a person who knows a person who has seen a person who has received bonus. So we are still waiting for that change. We are still waiting to hear one person who will say, I have received my bonus and I am happy that I have received my bonus. So a lot of politics has happened in Western Province. It's useless politics if you ask me. Going there to celebrate with farmers that they are being paid for sugarcane, they delivered, that they are being paid for sweat, that it is their sweat, and it has happened over the years. I mean, it was a senseless things to do.
But when I look at this, some of these things, I keep questioning on a very personal level. What projects should the president be launching if we are to be realistic?
I think first and foremost, stop launching projects. Stop. In fact, close that idea of launching projects and ask yourself, those things that used to work, are they working? If a person wants dialysis today and they go to a hospital, can they get dialysis? If a woman takes their child to school today, can they go there without the fear that their child will be sent home because government is not giving capitation to schools and therefore the children are not able to afford school fees? Can, for example, when people speak about the space that is higher education, can you take your child to a university and just tell them, chukua matatu uende university? It's a huge problem. It's a big problem. So stop launching new things. Start doing common sense. Give us back what was working. Because when you come and say you're launching bonuses to farmers who are now spending the bulk of their money paying school fees because the university funding model is not working and because high schools are not getting capitation. Even if these people, let's give them the benefit of doubt and just imagine that Kenya Kwanza is a sincere government because they are not. Let us just imagine that the farmers get this bonus. What would they do with it? They have someone on dialysis, and NHIF used to pay for them. They will pay for it. They have a child in high school. There was 50% capitation from the previous regime. Now everybody is paying 100% school fees. They have a child at the university. There is a university funding model that even those who implement do not understand. So this person will still pay fees. So what bonus are we celebrating? We have taken so much money from your left pocket and we've put in some on the front pocket and we are telling you clap for us.
But my question still remains because as a president, I want to believe they have that role to interact with the public. Genuinely speaking, because every now and then I see Kenyans complain he should not have launched that borehole, which sometimes I agree on the things he's launching, he should not. But are we particular on the projects that he should launch? Like what would we name?
Yes, you see, a borehole is a 3 million project. And how many homes would a borehole supply water to? Why would you bring a head of state to launch something that an MCA would launch? It makes absolutely no sense. In fact, you bring down the stature of the head of state. The head of state should be launching a dam, a mega dam for that matter, a hydropower project, a project like SGR, a trunk road, not small roads. If the president had gone to launch Nairobi, say Mombasa Highway, that makes sense. They have to be presidential in nature. They have to be national in nature. A borehole at a place in Sabatia or wherever, Vihiga, that's a borehole that serves how many families? 15, 20, 30?
That's probably a whole village.
That's why there's a village elder there. The borehole, the president should launch Kimwaror Dam. He should launch a dam that will serve a county, a whole municipality, a whole city, a whole part of the country. He should launch a hydropower project in the billions. But going to launch a borehole is seriously bad.
It's bad. Yeah. And in the same aspect, we had one of the youngest MPs who some people say he's a joker, but I hear the people of Bumias East love him so much because of the work he does. Peter Salasya. And in one of those events, he told the president, the advisors around you are not telling you the truth. Appoint me. I will probably tell you the truth. Is it a genuine concern that he's had with the people saying, or would he just be saying it for numbers, perhaps? Trends?
When President Kibaki became president, he had Professor Anyang' Nyong'o as his minister for planning initially. And we used to hear big names like Poverty Reduction Strategy Paper, PRSP. We would hear things like Vision 2030. So when I was younger then, I used to ask myself, what would Anyang' Nyong'o do in the circumstances? Because he was a walking master plan of what the country needs to look like. As I grow older, I usually ask, what would Salasya do? And the reason I ask that is because Salasya is told by the Mamamboga, literally, of his constituency, that I went to hospital and my SHA card or NHIF card or whatever it is did not work. And in a very simple language, someone will tell him, hata tulikuwa na huyu alikuwa ameharibika kidney. And we went and there was no, so he's just telling you dialysis is not happening. Salasya is in touch with the very needs of the very common mwananchi in Mumias East. And he understands those needs and he's bringing them out in the language, a very simplified language, but the language of the mwananchi who is going through those problems. So I would listen to Salasya and I would take Salasya's advice seriously. But of course, the president would not want to hire Salasya for an advisor, because what they have done is you sit down and discover that SHA is not working and they know it's not. So it's easier to just pay affordable bloggers to say that it's working. And they have a lot of affordable bloggers, wale wa 527, to say it's working. And that's how Kenya Kwanza is working. You bring university funding model, it's bad. Instead of fixing university funding model, you pay bloggers to tell people that it is working. That is how they are working. Boma yangu, we know it's been a horrible idea. You come and build houses in a place where probably a piece of land, 50 by 100 or 100 by 100 is 300,000 shillings. Then you tell somebody to get a room on the 5th floor and pay $1 million for that bed sitter, whereas land that would have fit a common, the decent house is 300,000 in the same area. What are you doing? Why are you deducting money, for example, from a teacher? A teacher in Vihiga who walks to the nearest primary school, does their teaching, goes back home, anakula ile jogoo wamelea hapo na bibi yake. Why do you want to charge him housing levy? Why does a teacher in Muranga, for example, right inside in the heart of Muranga, you need to pay housing levy? Why is he paying? He comes from his ancestral home. He dresses smart, takes his motorbike or a bicycle, or takes the nearest boda and goes to work. He's happy to go back home and find his family and have arrowroots and tea. And they have a home, they have a house. Why are they paying for? So that is why those are the things that the president does not want to hear.
And I think, unfortunately, that may be water under the bridge, because until the either parliament or if someone goes to court and
until we send him home in 2027. After 2027, we shall abolish his housing levy.
So I think if we keep pushing this thing, essentially there's nothing we can do about it at the moment, right?
There is.
Complaining?
No, we will fire the president through the ballot.
Which is 2027,
yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So my other concern is that while in Western, the president has made so many promises on top of the promises that have been unfulfilled. Is it a wise thing to keep promising while I won't say you can't deliver, but you've not met the deliverables that you had put before?
The people of Western...
Or how else would you go about it, given his position?
Just remember the other day he was in Kayole, and he told people, when you go for Christmas, when you come back, this road will be tarmac. That road is still not tarmacked. Now he's in Western making other promises, and some people were clapping for him. But you also saw there was a lot of jeering that happened around Vihiga, and a lot of people people have had enough. The truth is, the president is not launching development projects in the Western region. He is campaigning for re-election because he's lost the mountain, and he's hoping to cover the votes lost in the mountain by getting votes in the Western Belt, which I wish I would tell him for free. If the president does dispatch NIS today, and if they tell him the truth, there is no door or window through which he would pass to be re-elected in 2027. There is no iota of hope. There is nothing. There is no miracle he would pull. I mean, think about it. He had 7.1 million votes, right? About 4 million had come from Mount Kenya. And by the way, half of Mount Kenya didn't vote. But at least 4 million votes were with him. Now, he's lost these 4 million votes.
No, I thought Mount Kenya was 1 million, wasn't it?
What? That's Kiambu.
Oh.
Okay. Kiambu alone is 1.2 million votes. Anyway, he lost the mountain. When you lose the mountain, if Raila Amolo Odinga came just as he was, with his 6.9, he would be president in the morning. In fact, the arithmetics are so beautiful. All you need is Raila to vie, and then Mount Kenya should have a candidate, even if he's not going to win. Then William Ruto now goes, because there is nobody in Western who will vote for Ruto when Raila is on the ballot. So he's going home. I have tried thinking of where Sudi and Kamkatet will manufacture votes for the president. I can't. The coast, if Baba is on the ballot, the coast will vote for Baba.
Baba will be at AUC, probably. So coming back, let's not go to 2027 yet. We have a lot of time before then. But a cabinet meeting was also held in Western State Lodge, Kakamega. Yes. And again, the man who came out guns blazing saying that the government had not given him answer on who had kidnapped his son, JB Muturi, was not in attendance. Yeah. But then again, after that, we saw him in the office in Nairobi because people are saying he's not been going to the office, he's been working remotely. What's this about JB that is going on with him, between him and the government?
JB is unhappy with his administration, like the bulk of Kenyans. And he's expressing his frustrations. There is quite a number of people who have been in this administration, but they are unable to express their frustration. The other day, I saw my friend Peter Mbai resign. And many others are going to resign. So JB is one of those people who've had the courage to say, no, I am leaving. I am quitting. I can't do this.
Why won't he resign then?
No, it's best if he's fired. It's sweet to be fired because you become more popular on the ground. So he's waiting to be fired. He won't resign. He's waiting to be fired. And I will advise him to resign. You see, JB Muturi is a student of William Ruto. He learned from his boss that when his boss was the DP, that gentleman went around this country saying all sorts of horrible things about his own boss. Even one time shouting on the rooftop of his car and telling his boss, don't kill my children. Don't you remember that? So when JB Muturi comes and tells this administration not to kill his children, he's just reading a script from his boss. And then he's wondering, why are these people unhappy with me doing what my boss was doing when he was DP? It was okay then. Why should it not be okay now? So these people need to have the magnanimity to accept criticism from within, because they criticized Uhuru from within. They said, in fact, they called him Mulevi, they called him all sorts of names. I remember when BBI was starting, they even branded it reggae. And they said, wale watu wa reggae, sijui na bangi, sijui na sigara na. They said all sorts of things. Against his own boss. In fact, JB Muturi has not even insulted his boss, the president. So, but at least he's told the president, don't kill my children. The same way he told Uhuru Muigai not to kill his children. So I am happy that JB Muturi learned from the best and he's trying his lessons on the best. But the best is surprised that, hey, why would this guy do this? He just learned from you.
Maybe it's always good when you're pointing fingers, not when they're pointed at you, you know. Yes. And in all this politics that has been going on in Kenya since the year began, one of the key people who's become like now a daily, like we have to receive news about him, is none other than the former ex-DP, Rigathi Gachagua. Yes. Why is Rigathi such a bother to the government and the guy was sent home? Or why do we have to sit and just hear about him every day?
I think they are ruminants. They are chewing the cud. It's being regurgitated. Rigathi is being regurgitated. Think about it this way. They went to Western to launch their own projects. But they also spared a lot of time to discuss a person who they impeached and who they think is inconsequential. The president had hoped in his heart that in firing Rigathi Gachagua, he would get half of the mountain, which is Mount Kenya, because he was trying to split the mountain into east and west. And he had hoped that by appointing Kindiki Kithure, Professor Abraham, he would recoup the eastern part of the mountain. And therefore, Rigiji would be inconsequential. But Rigiji goes to Embu, he's a hero. He goes to Kirinyaga, he's a hero. He goes to Meru, he's a hero. And Rigiji, whether we like it or not, right now, controls the mountain vote. And many people are stooping themselves. They are running all the way to him. They are looking for him day and night to just shake his hand and be seen with him and take photos with him and post those photos online and say, I have become one of these people, Itugati. They're even calling him Wamonyoro because of where he comes from. You cannot wish away Rigiji for now. And they regret deeply, 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 they regret firing Rigiji.
You think the president regrets that decision?
Yes, he does. Have you noticed that for the last 1 month, the president spent his time in Rift Valley?
Yeah.
After that, now he's in Western. And every time he has to go to Mount Kenya now, he's going to have a very acerbic belly. He would rather now, I think from there, he's going to go to the coast or northeastern to find his good friend who likes insulting us, Mafara Malim. I don't think he has got time for the mountain anymore. He knows the ground is hostile. He knows he's unwanted there. He knows the mountain doesn't want him. So I don't think he will waste his energy going there.
And then, is it that now Rigiji is also reacting by ensuring every day he has meetings? The other day he was on TikTok live doing a live on TikTok with, I don't know, whoever was on, young people who are there. Is he rebranding himself? Because the issue that most people had with Rigiji was that he was tribalistic. So is he rebranding himself to be a national leader, or is it again a thing of just mountain again?
No, I think Rigiji was faced by the huge challenge of always being told that he's tribal. And so he's trying to come out and show that he's not tribal. And that's why one time I advised in a video that people took very badly. He needs to advise the people around him to stop calling themselves Itugati. Itugati is a Kikuyu name that was used in 1952 during the emergency war. And it was to refer to the soldiers who were loyal to the cause, who were fighting against Beberu, the white man. And so when you have 5 Itugatis, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you go to Western region, for example, and there are people who want to support your cause, do you think Luyas will be comfortable calling themselves Itugatis? Do you think the coastal people will be comfortable calling themselves Itugatis? They will see this as a Mount Kenya army. And what I do not want about that name is the fact that it has the capacity to cause people to want to alienate the Kikuyu nation and say these guys are fighting their own fight. That's why even they have a name for their own that is in Kikuyu for their own soldiers. I beseech them in the name of God to drop that name. It is good for galvanizing the mountain around themselves, but it might make other communities arm themselves and equip themselves and point themselves at the Kikuyu nation. And like, you know, there has always been this desire to isolate the Kikuyu nation, the Gema nation. That is something we really must fight. We must come away from that, and we must not allow the Gema nation to be seen as a nation that is an enemy of the rest of Kenya.
But I hope it's done out of goodwill, not because the Gema nation wants to get into power, because again, that would be a selfish way to look at it from where I sit.
It's not the idea of getting the Gema nation into power. I think it's the idea of getting the right candidate into power.
Exactly.
So in 2027, we will meet at the table and let the best man or best woman be elected to be president. And I think it's incumbent upon everybody who feels that they are a good citizen to offer themselves for the candidacy of the President of the Republic of Kenya. And I'd urge Kenyans, when it gets there and we start looking at merit, let tribe be the last consideration. Yeah.
That's true. Something else we need if we are going to have an election in 2027 is the IEBC. January is coming to an end. As of now, we do not have IEBC yet. The story of Koki in court, I don't know, there are rumors they are being sponsored by someone so that they can delay. I don't know who's that someone. I can't pinpoint. But there are those rumors. What can be done to fasten that process?
I think where we've gotten as a country, I was telling the politicians who think that they can control an election by controlling who is in IBC, to realize that Kenyans are saying, go vote for 9 commissioners from one village if you want. In fact, go and look for your 9 brothers and sisters and put them there. But Kenyans will show you, using your own brothers and sisters, that they have made up their mind in 2027. The votes will be so many for the right candidates that it will be hard for even the 9 brothers and sisters of your own that you put there. I think let's not waste so much time trying to control who will be commissioner. As long as those people meet the merit criteria. In fact, if today there was an interview for commissioners, I would make sure I am number last in that interview. The presidency, State House has a way of starting the list from the bottom. By the way, when you look at the records of the commissioners we've had at IEBC, every time an interview is held, when they are picking, they don't start from the top. They usually start from the bottom. And so if I was going for an IEBC interview today, I would make sure I'm number last, because then I stand a chance to be elected. I think let us constitute IEBC. As long as those people are Kenyans. I mean, there's a time we had 2 Luyas, Chiloba, Chebukati.
Chebukati,
yes. And they were from the Luya community. And we never had an issue. But you can imagine if 2 Kikuyus were heading IEBC. Oh, it will never happen. If 2 Luos were heading IEBC, there would be so much acrimony. That's why sometimes you find it has become a very easy place to just decide. If the big communities cannot agree, get a Somali and put them at IEBC. Because then the stakes are not too high. Or get a Maasai, or get, and I thank God. But I think IEBC needs to be constituted yesterday. If you read the Kriegler report, one of the recommendations in the Kriegler report was that IEBC needs to be constituted at least 2 years before an election. And the reason is, the election is not a day, it's a process. Right now, young people are supposed to be registered. Registration is not going on. So we don't have new voters on the register. People have died. Kenya Kwanza killed so many during the demos. And I'm saying they killed because we saw the police aiming at our young people and we have the videos, and they shot them. And they are culpable. So those people need to be removed from the voters register. So a lot needs to be done. You clean up the register, just to try to remove those who've died in the process, add new ones, and so on and so forth. So we need IEBC.
As soon as
and also
yesterday.
Because we have constituencies and wards that along the way have lost their representatives, and we need to replace those ones.
And that's I think every Kenyan is in agreement with that. And Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka made a very serious claim of people who are being registered or people who are going to be issued with IDs. I don't know how you feel about that. I actually don't want to put it to say it. I'm not a lawyer.
It's okay.
I'll tell you
this. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka came on national TV and said that the government is actually in the process of registering refugees. It's in the process of trying to register non-Kenyans to become voters in this country. What I would like to say is this. First and foremost, I know very many young people who've cleared Form 4. As late as today, I have received phone calls from 3 people complaining that they are being frustrated. Sayo kitaka kwenda kuchukua ID, I can even name registration centers just for the normal ID where forms are not available. So before you go and launch banners, before you do all this, there are people who want to register to become Kenyans because they've attained the age of majority, but those forms are not there. So it would be a really sad affair for a nation to be unable to register its own citizens. And if Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is right, register refugees because of the next election. But you know, those gimmicks have been tried and they don't work. Do you know how long it would take to register 1 million people just so that you can get 1 million votes? So it's just a lot of work for nothing. Do the right things. The Kenyans who are Kenyans on the voters register will vote for you. So I think the biggest frustration we have now is that young people who want to get IDs cannot get IDs because several stations where they're supposed to, they're being told the forms are not there. But now it's funny. There are specific regions within this country where forms are readily available because there are people who have thought that Kenyans are still going to vote in a tribal way. And so you're trying to increase your votes in those regions, but you are trying to limit votes in other regions. It's not going to work. Because even where you're increasing, those people are telling you, if like say you think a region where you think you're popular, and you allow for people to register as voters because you think you're popular there and to get national IDs. But these people are paying 1,000 and they know it used to be 100 shillings. So they are still not happy with your administration. So you're just still increasing the number of people who will not vote for you. Yeah.
And we have a lot of Form 4 leavers from last year who chances are they're 18, so they need the IDs at the moment.
Yes.
The last time we were here, we were discussing abductions of young people. By God's grace or by noise made by Kenyans, that has gone down. However, we have had a critic who was killed in Nakuru.
Yeah.
So are we now graduating from abductions to killings? Because we also had sniper in Meru a while back.
You can kill a revolutionary person, but you can't kill a revolution. The faster this administration learns that, the better for them. They've abducted young people who were accused of putting them in coffins. And the minute that happened, the young people went out there and even drew more people. Some even had their watches put there and wallets on the caskets. President neighbor here decided to get into a war that is not Ali Chorwa. You know, he was, and his citizens were not able to say anything. So Kenyans were donating those to them and telling them, yeah, just share with him. And he knows those things were full there in Uganda. I think one thing this administration needs to learn, be nice to people. They'll be nice to you. I have said many times, why have they not put Senator Sifuna or Onyonka or the Honorable Wamo Shomba in caskets? It's because those people have not done horrendous things to them. The other day, there's a cabinet secretary who decided to throw his hat into that fight with Gen Zs. And they decided to donate hair to him. And now he looks like one of the DJs I know, a light DJ who has that very... In fact, if you shake your phone like this, you'll think it's that gospel DJ. So
hey, DJ Mo,
don't start a war that you will not finish. And you can't fight with the young people. They are many, they have bundles, and they're extremely intelligent. Extremely intelligent. They even made Trump make a speech that was specific to Kenya. And it was very hard for the older generation to believe that it's not Trump who is speaking.
Yeah.
That tells you what will happen in 2027.
I keep wondering, how does the government... One thing I'm certain, the government cannot win information war. Number one, it's made up of older people. Old people take time to adjust to technology. Like now, I'm sure old people do not know how to make just a caricature of anything using AI. For sure, they don't know. So if you're planning to start fighting with the young people who have all the time to learn every new tool that comes up, then you...
I was telling people something, and they took me for granted, but I told them I'll tell you that the 2027 election might just be won by people who probably will do no rallies.
Yeah.
They said, oh no. I told them, how many rallies were done pre-finance bill demonstrations? How many rallies were done? You know, this old generation is used to, you have a rally, you do in Narok, Kisii, you have a rally, and then now you're marshalling Kenyans, and then you're telling them, you know, and then what was their thinking? Their thinking was, if we do a big rally in Mombasa, the media needs to be there to cover us. We have a generation called Gen Z. Gen Z, news is not on the to-do list. Allow me to engage you in something. These people who are called Gen Xs, a Gen X feels naked if they don't have a newspaper in the morning. You realize the many people who are 45 and above will look for a newspaper. When you come to millennials, yes, a few of the millennials do that, but millennials will look for their news on TV. Millennials have this habit of, ni time ya news, weka news. Now, Gen Zs do not have an item called news anywhere in their vocabulary. They will hear, they'll say, Minister Kabogo said, they'll go to TikTok and look for it. Or their favorite social media page, that particular news item. Obama goes to White House without Michelle. That's what they will look for. So if you're planning to do 20, you're stealing money now because they are fools, and I call them fools, who are stealing money now so that they can come and splash it on Kenyans in 2027. And then they are hoping to do big rallies. They mobilize, do big rallies and air it. On what? Traditional TV houses that Kenyans are coming away from. And then there will be a Kenyan who will sit and do a short video speaking to the people of his ward or constituency, and it will go viral, and that person might end up getting even more votes than those people who stepped out. Also, people tell me, nyinyi watu wa Nairobi mko na tu smartphone hapa. You're thinking, I tell them no. The world over, the country that spends more time on internet than any other country in the whole world is Kenya. We are leading. Yes. Do your research now. We spend more time on the phone than any other person. In fact, the people who spend the least time on the phone is Japan in the whole world.
Yeah, of course.
But Kenya is leading, I think, followed by Brazil. And then there's a list there I can share. So if we spend more, yes, an average Kenyan spends about 3.5 hours on the internet in a day. That's the highest in the world. Now, those people are saying this is an elitist thing. I tell them, my mom is now 70. She has a smartphone. I chat with my mom on WhatsApp. Anybody who is looking at me now, ask yourself, what kind of phone is your mother using? And I can tell you 80% of our moms and dads have a smartphone.
And they see those WhatsApp forwards.
And so if they have a smartphone, they are not thinking the way our politicians are thinking. Ati Waluya watavote hivi, Wakisii watavote hivi. Shame on you. It's not going to happen that way.
Move on.
2027 is different.
I keep telling people, we are in the same scenario where was it in 2017, when former CS Matiang'i and Uhuru decided we had to have a digital TV migration, and TVs were switched. And we actually thought, because they love Kenyans and they can't allow us not to have access to information, that thing will go on for 1 day, 2 days and bring back. Shock on us, because I was on a mainstream media. It was off, you move or you stay. So politicians need to understand it's the same. It is now a digital revolution for politics. Yes. And that is just what you have to deal with. Take it or go home. We are in a season where we are approaching again the cycle for the budget, and finance bill has started being discussed. Do you think this time they will put into considerations more taxation? Because from part of the proposals I saw, there was addition of VAT on some goods. Do you think this time they'll be more considerable to Kenyans, or is it another thing of another June 25th, say no to Finance Bill 2025?
The people that we are praying be considerate to Kenyans are inconsiderate completely and totally. In fact, they don't understand why we complain. They don't even think that it is possible to increase the national cake. They just want to eat it. We should be running government as business before we even talk about finance bill. I have not heard them. I am annoyed when I see the caliber of people we have, that their small brains tell them that anytime you need money, you have to tax Kenyans. Countries like Tanzania are spending a lot of money promoting their tourism industry. Rwanda is doing the same, because what we are supposed to be saying is we earned 10,000 shillings, for example, from tourism. How do we make it 15? How do we make it 18? How do we make it 30? But look at the guys we put in power. They are saying We collected 15 shillings from Wanjiku. How do we collect 35? Countries that have leaders who have brains are having a different conversation. They are saying this country earned X amount of money from exporting avocados, from exporting tea, from exporting coffee. How do we increase what we earn as a country from 10 billion to 35 to 40 to 50 billion? The fools we have are sitting and crunching figures and asking themselves, how do we increase how much we tax this Wanjiku who is almost dying? We've taxed even the jiggers in their feet. I'll give you a living example. Why is animal feeds expensive in Kenya? Animal feeds are expensive in Kenya because of the protein component. What is the main protein component in animal feeds? It's something called soya. Now, Kenya produces 10,000 metric tons of soya, but we need 150,000 metric tons of soya. So Kenya has to import 140,000 metric tons of soya every year. A thinking agriculture minister would have been saying, how do we help our farmers to start planting soya, even if it's in small scale, so that these people who are making animal feeds, and by the way, soya is a bean.
Maybe you're speaking to Mutahi
Listen,
Kagwe.
soya is a bean, 3 months. Ndio mvua inataka kunyesha. 3 months. If we spoke to farmers and on a small scale, everybody was able to do 10 bags, we would have enough soya first for making our animal feeds, which will bring down the cost of animal feeds, to bring down the cost of eggs, to bring down the cost of pork, everything would go down. But what are they doing? They are busy having a conversation on how to increase the taxation on a bag of animal feeds. So when I say we have a bunch of pumbavus in very special places of leadership, I am not insulting them. I am just describing them for who they are, because...
No. This needs to get to the CS. Mutahi Kagwe. There is a message for you here. Please do something.
March tupande soya.
I hope you
140,000 metric tons.
Mutahi Kagwe, do the thing.
Yes. Yeah. So finance bill, let's not have a conversation about it. It's not a conversation we should be having as Kenyans. The conversations we should be having is, how much did we get from tea? How can we do better? Potatoes, by the way, there was a food glut the other day. A cabbage was going for 3 bob. It was so painful watching on ata ngombe imekata. If you went to some places here in Kiambaa, guy, you give a cow cabbage, it looks at you and moves in the other direction. Human food. When we have a glut, we have too much. When we lack seriously.
Yep.
Beyond food production, how do we make sure that post-harvest losses are minimized?
Yeah.
I tell people, every time you go to Marikiti and you see a cabbage, kimelon, kimeanguka kichafu, and it's smelling, imagine that is human food that got wasted, because nobody puts a bad cabbage in Kinangop on top of a lorry. It is the best that go to the market. How some of them end up being garbage means that food that was once the best, put on a lorry, paid for transport, labor, because it was money put into labor, putting it into the truck and out and so on. And then it ends up not on a person's plate, but on the floor. How do we reduce post-harvest losses? So this country is rich, but we don't have leadership. We have tenderpreneurs and brokers who find themselves in parliament and who go out there looking for what to steal. Nobody is going there with ideas on how to create wealth. And that is what annoys me.
And it's very unfortunate. It reminds me, there's a poster that Boniface Mwangi has pinned, that other countries have mafia, but in Kenya, the mafia have the country. Food for thought. Now, moving on. We are approaching Feb. And we know this is a date with destiny for Raila Odinga in Ethiopia, Addis. And we've seen a lot of misinformation. There was even rumor that he's called Yusuf. I'm forgetting the name.
Just call him Djibouti
The
candidate.
Djibouti candidate was to resign,
Yeah.
which was I believe it was a social media campaign just to
Smear.
and just maybe confuse some other leaders. How do you think Raila Odinga is doing? And I've seen actually the Djibouti guy also went to our neighbor in Tanzania.
I think it's a very simple answer. The character of the people who are voting is special. This is a special breed of people who are voting. Because the voters are presidents.
Yes.
How do you sit and predict how presidents will vote? It is very hard. Their demeanor, these people are highly diplomatic. They will laugh with you and tell you, hey, we are doing good with Kenya. From the heart of hearts, I don't think Tanzania will vote with us. History is replete with incidences where Tanzania has not stood with us. Even, you remember, during the last election, they didn't vote with us. I do not, in my wildest of imaginations, have an idea of how that election will go. Because the people who are voting again, I said, are presidents. And they are a mystery. So we will wait for the mystery to demystify itself. But for Raila Amolo Odinga, we wish you well. If you win, good. If you don't, come back home.
Addis ni baba. That is what we are
Addis
saying for
ni
now.
baba.
Addis ni baba for now.
Yeah.
As we come to an end, of course, we can't close without discussing Trump. And by the way, President Ruto has not sent a congratulations message.
He forgot. He's busy in Western. He might have forgotten.
Really?
But I am happy that Trump won. And I am happy that AI decided with their young people to edit Trump's speech and add a few things. And there's a grain of truth to what the young people are trying to say. And, President Ruto worked very well with the Biden administration. You've seen young people send 300,000 emails to, was it Denmark? The country they sent 300,000 emails telling them, please don't allow our head of state, don't come here.
Is it Denmark or Belgium?
Don't come here. I think we need to take up the same spirit and tell Trump, don't invite these people there.
I don't think he's even bothered.
Because it's a cost to us. We remember last time there was this special jet. It's a cost to us, and we don't want to incur that cost. How
different do you think that administration, Trump's administration will be with now Ruto's administration for, say, the next 2 years?
It will be very different because he wants to make America great again. I don't know what our president wants to do to Kenya. Impoverish it again? I don't know. But Trump is focused on the US, and he's made it very clear. His primary focus is on America and Americans. And so I think our president needs to realize that the solutions to our problems lie within our borders. And those international trips will know. And keep looking outside is not going to help us. Let us solve our own problems from here.
Will it be a good idea? Because the proposal came towards the end of last year to join BRICS. Now that Trump is in power, is that a more ideal thing to do, or work with whoever works, who has our interests, and move?
BRICS, Brazil, India, Russia, China,
South Africa.
And South Africa.
Plus, now they are minimal.
You will not go to bed with Russia and go to bed with Americans. You have to choose. So, and Kenya was thinking that, sometimes I wonder, you come and say things in Russia and there's media covering you. Then you go and say different things in the US as if you are thinking this is not going to get there. It's like coming and telling a girl, I only love you. It's only you. We are going to make a baby with you. And the cameras are here. Then you rush to the other home. They tell you, hey, I saw what you told the other girl. We need to make a decision. Are we working with the Americans? Are we working with BRICS? Or are we non-allied? And are we going to run our own agenda? And if from where I sit, I wish Kenya just stayed at home and focused on its own personal development.
We will try for sure. I think something that I see and it baffles me, it's from a governor. Governor Kang'ata Murang'a seems to be knowing something or getting finances from somewhere and seems to be working, because he seems like he's even doing more for a county than what the national government is doing for the nation.
I've always said the counties collect a lot of money. It is sad when you hear a governor is arrested, there's 2.5 billion in their account. 2.5 billion is a lot of money. Another one was once arrested, there was 5 billion in his account. There was one whose daughter had 100 million. A student at Strathmore had 100 million in her account. I think what Kang'ata is doing is putting the people of Murang'a before his own interests. And it is seen from what is happening on the ground. And the people love him. And I always tell the president, why aren't the people of Murang'a putting Kang'ata in a casket and wishing him dead? In fact, he goes, I have seen his videos, he alights, he doesn't need mobilization. Women throng him, people throng him, they dance for him, they sing for him. And it's the same thing with Dende Nyoro, who decided that he needs to take a step back away from this administration. I saw that guy has in excess of 200 schools, I think. 100, more than 100 schools. I'll get the right number. But the amount of good work that has been done in those schools. Some of these constituencies here don't even have 50 schools and there's nothing to show for it. I think it tells Kenyans when you get the right leader in place, you'll be a happy person. So kudos to Kang'ata, and for the first time, kudos to Dende. I used to fight him a lot because of his association with this administration. But his work on the ground is beautiful. In fact, it brings many people to tears when they see how he has managed to touch the lives of young people. Because when you make the school, kids say they are happier in school than you want to go to school. Mpaka kuna siku ya mchele na iko na nyama, and the school is cabro paved. Na kwao nyumbani hakuna cabro. Mtoto akiingia na kiatu imepakwa rangi, it's black, it stays black the whole day. Those children are very happy in school. And that enhances productivity. People from neighboring constituencies are beginning to bring their children into those schools of that particular constituency. People have a lot to learn from the leaders who do good. When you do good, people protect you, they love you, you don't need to campaign. In fact, they force you to retain your seat. I think if Kang'ata tried having ideas of becoming anything else in this country, the people of Murang'a would have a problem with him.
And I think every other governor and maybe even the national leaders should...
Like now, Kang'ata care.
Yeah,
the people of Murang'a don't want shisha. No, they are saying, this is not a Kang'ata care. Because you are paying, but when you go to hospital, it is working. It is working.
I think even leaders, like other leaders, should question, like we should not be sitting here to praise Kang'ata for a job he's expected to do. But because we're used to mediocre stuff, then now we have to quote someone who's working so that everyone else sees it is possible.
And this is the good thing. I have not seen him on TV. He's not saying, if I sit in this studio, do I need to say this light is on? It's common sense, it's on. Do I need to tell people this camera is functioning? It's on, it's common sense. Why is the Kenya Kwanza administration spending so much time telling Kenyans what they are doing? When Kang'ata does a hospital, he goes. It is the people of Murang'a who keep celebrating and saying he did a hospital. Then he's like, do your work will speak for you. You don't have to keep telling people what you plan to do, what you have done, where you're going. No. Do a good job. True. Yeah.
Do your job. And for me, I'll be a happy Kenyan the day every county has what Kang'ata is giving to the people of Murang'a. And man, I admire that county so much. And I hope other governors are taking lessons, including our national leaders. CSs, please, you don't have to go and launch boreholes. Kang'ata is launching hospitals, hospitals, what, all those things. That's value for the nation and for the people. Anyway, that's just my take as we end this. Your conclusion to the people who are watching.
I think my conclusion to the people who are watching is about 2027. I would like to tell people that there are 3 categories of people who will be voted in. The first category is the people who are lucky. You know, in any election, there will be this lucky guy. Aliangukia. That category of people will be elected. There is the second category of people who will be elected. People who have People who have more, they will spend, they will buy, they will come, they will splash money, they will mobilize, those who have will be elected. But there's the third category to which I belong, is the people who are more, that take away everything else. Those things that money cannot buy, these people have it. And the people who are more will also be elected. I wish everybody would go into that third category where you are more, you are everything. You stand up and people say, like Obama. Obama had very little money when he was vying for the presidency. Obama was not the lucky guy. He did not have more, but Obama was more. He himself was a lot more than everything else. And people wanted that which was in him that money could not buy. And they gave him money. If you're a young person out there and you believe that you are more, and that you are made of a fiber and nerve, and you're a product that is better and well finished than these other shenanigans of people who are offering themselves, please offer yourself, because people are looking for men and women who are more.
People who are more. I do not have better words to add than, if you're more, please subscribe. And thanks for watching to this end. We will see you on the next episodes. Also, by the way, you can tell us in the comment section who you want to see on that seat, because oftentimes we exchange fanyamambo with other people for purposes of divergent of opinions also, yeah? See you then.